Look, we have been talking about change. And honestly, more than ever, I believe that change is good. And we can always have a conversation about that. Okay, is it America becoming a one party system with all this executive orders, with all this speed, efficiency? Is that the end of the Democratic Party? Okay, maybe you thought that I would say that Trump is crazy, Trump is a Nazi, Trump this, Trump that. But okay, I'm a political scientist. And until really last year, I would call myself a Democrat. Okay, that's not that crazy because at one point, Democrats were normal. Okay, I worked for Robert Reich. Okay, he was a professor of mine. Interesting ideas. I've learned a lot. But at the same time, coming from Brazil and studying the US, I always saw the differences. And I believe in the American system. I believe there's always change, there's always positive. I also understand that America is not a mono, it's not something you as just a one thing. The government of the US is designed in a way that there are a lot of branches, the three branches of the government. You have the media, technically the fourth power, but at the same time, you have the state bureaucracy. And what is that they call a big deep state? And just recently, USAID. And how can you explain really the reaction of the Democrats? And when I say that probably and very likely these people are just going to lose more elections, which is not good. It's always good to have a dichotomy, some force against the current administration. Is always a healthy democracy. Really requires debate, and but they're gone so far into the deep end when you see people complaining and I don't think they got the memo that social media it's really something different. Social media allows us and everybody to understand the reality. And I, I'll talk a little bit about change because more than ever, you need to understand how to interpret, how to really grasp the reality. Because to be honest with you, and I consider myself someone very knowledgeable about the media, about technology, and even I sometimes I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? You know, who is really talking the truth? And as humans, as our civilization evolved, we always want to grasp the truth. I think that's something innate in human nature. We want to seek the truth, and we will never get it because that's divine. Our job is really to get as close as possible. And we at Correct Ventures believe, and I deeply believe that we have a lot more in common, and the future is bright. The differences we have are very small if you think about it. And I'm very positive. You know, I I bought, I have to say that in 2016, I bought the whole narrative around Trump. And when I saw Bolsonaro winning in 2018, I saw the energy and I felt the energy in Brazil. In 2022, I went to some of his events, and I can put some videos up, and it was just amazing. It was just amazing how people connected. And as a study or a student of movements or a student of political movements, I went to some of Lula's campaign, and there's not the same energy. But at the same time, unlike a lot of my counterpart, and I would say even in the US, I would say stop the fighting. Let's work together. Democrats, if you don't want to go to oblivion of history, join forces, work on points that you agree. I remember Ted Kennedy. I lived many years in Boston, and his style in the Senate, and he was clearly one of the most effective senators, a Democrat, and you have a team of rivals. Honestly, that's such an amazing story. Lincoln did the same thing, and by far, he was one of the most effective U.S. presidents. He was able to end slavery, unite the country in some sense, and do a lot of important legislative movements. Everybody's impressed with Trump, even I. I was cheering for change, and I was very happy when it happened. I believe Brazil and here we're going through a very weird moment, but we need to come together. Unlike my counterparts, I would say everybody's asking for impeachment of Lula and investigations. It's enough because in the end of the day, the politicians are always going to fight. But the problem is the people will pay the price. The same thing in the US. Like, what kind of world you need to live in when all this corruption, all this waste of money, taxpayer money, there's no such thing as public money, it's people's money that they have paid in taxes. They're going to crazy projects. I mean, come on. You, Senator Warren, what do you have in your mind? I mean, why are you guys suing the Trump administration and you're just, distilling those lies about corruption, about Elon Musk having power? Everybody has said they are investigating just like the police. They're not going to make any changes. The changes are the prerogative of the president. Congress will be brought in to wait and to do their duty. And where were you? Looking from outside, okay? If you have your own people on a flood after a hurricane without water, without housing, and then you have the fires in California, and you see those numbers, how many hundreds of millions or billions for illegal immigrants? I talk about this in Brazil. People that break the law, they are by definition criminals. I understand some have just entered the US illegally, but they broke the law, right? And there's some that have been deported to Brazil, for example, that have really committed more serious crimes. So it is time for all of us to first accept change, because change is hard, but it's good. We need to look into those programs. We need to look at the waste, and having a stronger United States, it's better for the entire world. I do believe we all, as a world community, we need to work together on issues that we share common ground. We need to reform. The United Nations, it's an amazing idea brought by US president. But come on, is that supposed to fund terrorists? How come nobody since 2005 didn't notice all of this? So once again, I invite you to join change, and let's talk about the future of democracy, but not as this joke. The reality is the new model we need to create, things that we need to do so that we can have a better system. Join us in learning more about change. Thank you.